Hello everyone, welcome to another track guide. This time we're at Road America using the fixed setup with the BOP applied. And without further ado, let's get into it. So coming into turn one, we're lining up right up against the white line here. And the braking reference for me is right before the 3 cones and after this dirt patch alongside the track. Like right in the middle of this for me is like a perfect reference. In the Merc, I'm not braking too hard, about 50-60%. Quickly start trailing off, and we just want to ride along this curb here. We want to make sure we're not getting into the grass too much, but you can cut this dirt a little bit as I do here. It helps with the rotation a little bit. And on the exit, you can see here I'm really like trying to get the car back to the track as soon as possible. I ran a bit wide, and I was trying to avoid the off track, which is essentially right after this black part of the curb ends and this gravel here. If you cut over this, you can get an off track pretty easily. So that's why I'm really trying to bring the car back over. For here, you have the 2 board and this white line here, which I mainly use this white line. And basically right as the nose of the car is crossing the white line, like from the cockpit view, that's when I start applying the brakes. Really want to set up the late apex here, of course. And like the previous corner, you want to run along this curb, but here you don't want to touch the grass at all because it can really unsettle the car. And like turn one as well, it's very similar. You can get the off track if you cut over this gravel part again, so that's why I'm making sure I'm getting back to the track. Car rotates, at least the Mercedes anyways, rotates quite nicely on the throttle here, I must say. And then anyways, going down into the hairpin. Also, coming into the straight here, there's no need to follow along the right side here. I'm kind of just cutting it straight to travel the shortest distance. So coming into the downhill hairpin, you have the 3 and the 2 board. Basically, in between, like right in the middle of this, maybe slightly towards the 2 board is when I start applying the brakes. And here you can really exploit all of the track here. You can go completely past this curb on the right here. So that's why I'm kind of aiming the car this way. So I try to keep like about a tire width from this curb here. Any closer to the wall, you risk getting a slowdown here. But this is a pretty safe line, I would say here. And then I'm starting my turn-in point. There's a little kink in the red and yellow curb here. That's when I begin turning in, shifting down to 2nd gear. Aiming to cut all of this curb once again. You can even take a little bit of the gravel, not too much though. Now on the exit, you can go over the gravel a little bit here, but really if like the center of the car is close to the middle of this black curbing here, you can really get the off track quite easily. So make sure you're bringing the car back to the track in time. Now coming into this corner, my braking reference is this bridge. You want to brake just before it. More specifically, what I'm doing is when the Corvette logo starts disappearing, like now, that's when I begin applying the brakes. It feels pretty accurate for me. You don't want to brake too hard here. It's really easy to activate the ABS. You're going over kind of a crest. So you want to be gentle on the brakes and the steering. Going down to 2nd gear. Again, cutting all the curb. Helps rotate the car. And on the exit again, get it back to the track here. Pretty easy, 1x you can pick up. Now here, this corner is flat out once the tires are warmed up, and in these conditions, sometimes you may need a small lift, but I basically start turning in There's a little bump, like right there. Right before this bump, that's when I want to start turning in. And I'm really aiming to cut all of this curb, even a little bit of the grass. The grass kind of helps to like pull the car inwards, so it can be taken flat out a little easier. And watch for the bump here as well. If you run too wide, there's a little bump right here, and you can get an off track if you go over the grass too much. And we're bringing back the car back to the right, and we have the 3 board with the white line as well as the 2 board here. In between these two, the 3 and the 2, is when I'm braking. For me, it's like right after I cross the beginning of this dirt patch on the right side of the track. Again, I'm kind of aiming the car like this way a little bit. I'm aiming for this curb to help open up this corner a little bit more. And then you want to aim for kind of a little bit of an earlier apex here. You really want to just get to this inside of this curb, even to the grass a little bit. You can see I kind of missed it, and this probably cost me like maybe half a tenth leading down to the carousel. So you really want to make sure you're getting like almost into the grass here. It is a lot of like banking right here, and it really helps carry the car through here quickly. And here I'm trying to get the car back on the track before this black is ending once again. And for the carousel, you want to open it up all the way. Start turning in before this exit road on the right, or left, excuse me. And then for the carousel, it's heavily dependent on the track conditions and the wind, really, like with how you want to approach it with your inputs. But for here, I'm using this beginning of the dirt on the track here, the second one. There's one here, but the second one right here. And I start slowly lifting off the throttle here, as you can see. And I'm kind of coasting a little bit, applying very little trail brake, maybe like between 1 to 5%, just to help slow the car down a little bit. And then for the throttle reference, or when I get back on the power, I'm using this green wall on the right side, and you can see the inside of it here. That's a little darker. When that little darker portion disappears, that's when I'm getting back on the throttle. I'm not slamming it to 100% right away because it just really unloads the fronts and you'll just understeer past. So I'm just progressively applying it. I'm also short shifting to 4th gear just to help get a little bit of torque going into the exit here. Yeah, and here, once again, there's a lot of banking on the inside here towards the right. So if you're in here, you should be fine. You won't have to use as much steering angle, but if you are too early on the power, you're going to end up out here. And what's going to happen is your car's just going to understeer and you'll just scrub speed. No, the kink is easily flat out, especially in the fixed setup. No worries there. Again, traveling the shortest distance through here. No need to be out here. And coming into Canada corner, my braking reference really is right in between the 4 and the 3 board. I'm braking pretty hard here. You just want to make sure you're not getting into the ABS, of course. And I'm dropping the gears very quickly for the engine braking. And this can be taken in 3rd gear. It might be a little more consistent for me. 2nd gear feels nice. Once again, aiming to cut all the curb and getting the right tires into this gravel again for a little more rotation. And on the exit, avoid taking too much here. You want like your center of your car to be past this portion, otherwise you get the off track. And this corner is easily flat out again in the fixed setup. However, here I did make a slight error. I kind of turned in too early, so I ended up needing to do a small lift. Yeah, you really want to turn in like as you're really approaching the end of this curb here. So what happened here is you can see I turned in way too early and I touched this curb, so it kind of pushed me wide and that's why I started lifting. So usually this is easily flat out. Then we're bringing the car immediately back to the left for the final corner. Here I start lifting and braking before, like right before this white line and the 3 board here. There's also, you can see the change in the color of the track. It gets darker. You can also use this. I'm aiming the car outside a little bit. You can even go onto this curb. I wouldn't go all the way on it, but maybe a little bit. It can help you open up the corner a little more. And I'm not braking too hard here, just really being patient so I can get on the power early. You can gain loads of time on the exit here. Again, you want to be like on full power before you're arriving on this curb, cutting all of it, of course. And yeah, that's going to be a lap guide for Road America. Hope you guys found this helpful, and good luck.